If you saw my reaction analysis, which I just released on Germany's song, you'll notice that I did do the studio version. So why is it that staging can enhance so much of a song, which I initially didn't take to? So let's talk about the live version of Fire by Sarah Engels.
Stop denying, no more. Boy, I'm out of your league. Nonsense what you've been doing to me. Just know that I could take my revenge. I could go out with all of your friends.
So there's something that was really effectively done in the original version. First up, we had that doubling of the vocals in a, how do we put it, auto-tune. So I'm not talking about pitch correction, I'm talking about electronic auto-tune way. So in the introduction here, I think it is a little bit weaker. However, look, she's doing it live, and as we go along, we will see how this progresses. But straight away, I feel like even though it's not a studio version quality, it captures the audience a lot more. It is so clear that staging, costumes, dancing absolutely enhances things.
I can fake it till I make it, but I won't fake it till I make it, but if you crave it, you can take it, but you don't.
Spoke about that chord last time. Yeah.
I'm on fire, fire. You're a liar, liar. Stop denying, no more. Like a vampire, you
Yeah.
have to come out at night. Stop denying, no more.
It's quite interesting, hey, because when I'm watching this now, I'm watching this as a live version. It is so much more impressive than just the studio version, whereas the studio version is more polished, right? First up, what they've adopted here is the doubling of the melody with brass instruments in the chorus. That lifts it. That lifts it a lot more straight away. If we hear back there again, I believe that doubling is not in the original, and we'll check it out soon anyway. Here, she's coming alive vocally in the chorus. It is a lot more on point. I feel like she started a little bit more weak, which is, it is very hard to start always, but once you get into it, it's so much easier, I guess, to go with the flow vocally, right? This is going to hit a lot of people. I was that little bit negative, and I try not to be negative, those of you who have seen my videos, because I can't do, as I say, 0.001% of what these people can do. So it's not my place to say it's good or it's bad or they should have done this better or blah 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 blah. But it's very clear in my initial reaction analysis of the studio version, I wasn't a big fan of it. So to see this come alive on stage is very, very different. Number one, because she's pulling it off vocally. Number two, because we've got all the visuals. And then that calls into question, is the song good enough to stand on its own? And I'm going to argue no. Because this staging is incredible, and it brings your appreciation up of the song and the artist so much more, which then kind of goes, well, the song is not really yes, it plays a part of it, but it's really the staging, the choreography, and the artist herself. So take a listen of this this brass doubling, which is amazing. Yeah. And you know what? This is also a grower. It really is. And it's going to go off. Like, so hear how she started vocally that second verse compared to the first verse. It was so much cleaner. It was so much more on point because she's with it. She's with it. And what we have in the original, the doubling of those ascending chords with the vocals. But again, it would have been good to hear a little bit more that doubling of vocals that we had, which was electronic in the original.
Just wait a minute, you're gonna see that you won't find another like me. You come around and I'll be too
the clicks, adding those clicks makes such a big difference, eh?
I can fake it till I make it, but I won't take it till I make it. If you
Just in
crave
case
it,
we-
you can take it, but
Just in case we didn't know the lyrics there.
'cause I won't do the same old mistake. I can fake it till I make it, but I won't take it till I make it. If you crave it, you can take it, but you don't.
Call and response.
I don't want it, I don't need it, and I want it, you repeat it. You just play it till you break it and explode. I'm on fire, fire.
Yeah, we can hear the brass so much clearer now, can't we? It's actually the trumpets are playing up the octave than they were last time. I don't know the lyrics to that part. I just know vampire. Something about coming out at night, right? Fuego. Yeah, we've got our dance break coming up. This is going to do well. I was underwhelmed. Like I said, when you can see that she can pull it off vocally and on stage, makes such a huge difference, as we said. I think the biggest difference musically here, as I said, are doubling that melody with the brass. I don't believe that was done in the original, and if it was, I didn't hear it, but it makes such a huge difference, undoubtedly. It brings out that melody. It helps us remember it. And like I said, this is a song which is based on 3 chords, pretty much. Yeah, literally 3 chords. And I think out of every song in this whole competition, it's got the least harmonic variation, maybe with the exception of Austria's. But apart from that, like I mentioned in the other video, in the pre-chorus, let me sync the click. Here we go. Crave it till you take it, but you don't. Where she says don't is the only time we hear a chord which is different, which is actually really interesting, right? And I think sometimes less is more. One can criticize and say there's only 3 chords in this whole song, but it doesn't mean more chords is better, because when she pulls out this lyric, you can, what is it? Fake it. Oh, if you crave it, you can take it, but you don't. That is the only time that we hear a chord which is not even in the key. So it really transforms within that one bar, this song. Like I mentioned in the other video, if you saw it, if you feel a lift and if you really like that part and you go, there's something about that part, it's because they're chucking in a chord which is not a part of this key which we've established as our home key, which is that one there. It is really, really smart. So we're only using 3 chords plus that chord. It could have been easy to just repeat that same phrase as she just did beforehand with the same chords, but adding that one chord, which is very different, not a part of the key, lifts it. And that's, I think, if anything, is really, it's such a small thing, but the defining part of this song, which lifts it so much without us even knowing. So we have that brass doubling. Let's go into the Fuego dance moves. Oh wait, I love how she let the backing vocalist just take the last bit because she's about to go into a dance break. And they had to take her microphone away, obviously. And then let's hear the trumpets taken away. Yeah, Adding that brass is next level. Yeah. Yeah. Dankeschön. Yeah. This is why this is going to do well. I know it's Fuego 4.0. I get it. But it's so ironically called Fire, but it's going to do well and way better than I thought that it would have just from looking at the studio version.
Fire, fire, you're a liar, liar. Stop denying, lying, no lying, lying, no more.
Yeah. Like, whilst the vocals are obviously so on point because it's a studio version, we can hear how much weaker this is because that melody is not being doubled by the brass, which elevates it. Let's compare them again.
I'm on fire, fire. You're a liar, liar. Stop denying, lying, no lying, lying, no more. Like a vampire, you have been come out the night. Stop denying, lying, no lying, lying, no more.
And let's check out the other one.
I'm on fire, fire.
Hear that brass?
Stop denying, lying, no lying, lying.
It's very prominent for the vampire part. And then let's compare the ending as well. The last time that she is singing that chorus, instead of the backing vocals, I believe the brass takes it. So we heard the backing vocals taking this, which on its own as a studio version is fine because we have that chorus repeated. But that's why I felt it just wasn't there. But then we look at the live version. Sorry, so the backing vocals are still there, but they're much softer. We can hear more than anything. We can hear that brass coming out playing the melody. Very smart adding that element of acoustic instrumentation there and really bringing out the fact that it is acoustic through something like a slide in the brass. That is extremely helpful in making this come alive more than just a bunch of electronic music with the vocalists or a couple of vocalists. And we can hear when she starts to hold that long note, it's only the brass taking the melody, and we don't even need the vocalist singing, I'm on fire, fire, I'm liar, you're a liar? Wait, what's the lyrics? How do I not know the lyrics? You're a liar. So she's holding this note. We've got the lyrics that we know, I'm on fire, fire, you're a liar, liar, whilst she's holding that note. By that time, the last time that we hear this, she doesn't actually even have to, or the backing vocalists don't even have to sing that part anymore because it's in our head. So we have the brass taking it until halfway into that chorus, and it's still very soft. The brass is really taking it, and that, to me, from an arrangement perspective, makes this performance and makes it so much stronger than what we have in the original studio version. No, sorry, not when she holds the note. The next time we hear it. And get ready to hear that slide as well in a moment. Yeah, did we hear that slide there? And we don't need the vocalists behind her singing that melody anymore. Let's hear it one more time. If I failed to have seen this live performance, I would have been even further blown away on when this is being performed at Eurovision. because I wouldn't have expected this. I've listened to this a few times in the car and I've become more accustomed to it as a kind of, somewhat generic pop song, which is fine. But this is how this is elevated. And I'm so impressed by how this is elevated. If you haven't seen my original video on it, please go check it out because it's always refreshing. And this is the second time this has happened. And it's going to happen as well with another one where I've accidentally gone to look at the original and then was blown away further by the live performance. And I encourage everyone to go and look at the original, to go and listen to it and go, what makes this good? What makes this better? Because if we just rely on a live performance, we are not giving the composition the credit for what it is or how it's been composed and how it's been released. If we are preferring and only ever preferring the live version, what does that say? If your go-to is constantly the live version, do you really like the song? Anyway, that's something to think about. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.